I remember the exact moment I realized I'd crossed a boundary I never intended. It was a Tuesday afternoon, too hot and muggy for April, when Marisol from HR poked her head into the small customer service bullpen where I was fielding calls. She tapped my headset cord as if checking I was real. "Alex," she said, voice low enough only I could hear. "Your weekly report was innovative. You know, the one where you suggested a dynamic FAQ chatbot instead of those outdated PDFs. I glanced around at the half-dozen green-topped cubicles. My coworkers sat in their swivel chairs, arms drummed on keyboards, pretending not to care. I swallowed. "Thanks?" She nodded. "Can you come to a meeting in 15 minutes? With product team?" In 15 minutes, I was sitting in a glass, walled conference room. MacBook open to my prototype of an AI-driven knowledge base. Across from me, product managers and engineers circled the long table, eyes polite but cool. "Alex," said Darren, senior product manager, his tie embroidered with last quarter's sales numbers, "we've seen your suggestion. The FAQ bots are interesting, but our roadmap for this quarter is locked. We need you focusing on CS metrics and customer retention calls." "Right," I said, flattening my palms on the table. "Customer satisfaction is my top priority." "I just thought, thoughts are fine," Darren interrupted. "But for now, stick to customer service. Leave product innovation to the product team. We'll revisit your ideas later." I closed my notebook, each crease in the leather cover a metronome in my mind. I nodded. Understood. Outside, the late afternoon sun stained the hallway gold. I headed back to my cubicle, pressed headphones over my ears, and answered a call. "Thank you for contacting Daedalus Tech Support. My name is Alex. How can I help you today?" 2 weeks later, I found myself explaining to a gaunt CTO why I'd spent my weekend turning my chatbot prototype into a working demo. He perched on the edge of his desk, arms crossed, evaluating me like an undercooked pancake. "Alex, we told you to stick to customer service," he said. "Why is this live on your GitHub account?" I tapped my keyboard. The repo link glowed on the projected screen. Daedalus FactBot v0, 9.1. I couldn't help it, I admitted. Once I saw the code running in my test environment, answering real customer inquiries, I knew it could cut CS tickets by 50%. I pushed it to my personal repo so people could play with it. He folded his arms tighter. "Fine, but don't do it again without approval." I exhaled, nodding though my heart pounded with excitement. That night, I stayed late to run traffic patterns, refine intents, and train the bot with our anonymized customer transcripts. By midnight, it was answering complex queries, license renewals, integration errors, even a few billing disputes. It felt like magic. One Wednesday morning, I logged into our internal Slack. A channel called #onboarding videos had popped up overnight. I clicked the link and nearly fell off my chair. There on the screen was me, my face, voice, everything walking new hires through our compliance modules. The title card flashed in slick Daedalus branding. "Welcome to Daedalus, your journey begins." The first slide faded, and there I was, explaining our data security policy with an earnest smile. I scrubbed back. There I was again, demonstrating the corporate directory, fielding fictional user access issues, outlining how to escalate a server outage. If someone had told me I'd be starring in onboarding videos when I was hired as a customer service specialist, I would have laughed them off. I closed the browser and felt my pulse throttle. The product roadmap, the CTO's warning, Darren's admonition, they all crowded into my mind. I slid out of my seat and headed upstairs to the product manager's office. Darren looked up as I knocked. "You again," he said. "Back for more unauthorized demos?" I held up my phone. "Did you know about the onboarding videos?" I stammered. "They used my face." He sighed, rubbing his temples. "We needed a trainer. HR is short-staffed. You're a pro at explaining complex systems. You volunteered at that knowledge share last month, right?" "I volunteered to help CS, not to narrate an entire video series," I said. "They didn't ask, they just put me on camera." He exhaled. "Look, Alex, this was an ad hoc solution. We recorded you because you were available and articulate. We'll roll out a proper series later with professional actors. For now, that's the interim." He drummed his finger. "It goes live in 2 days." I felt something crack inside. So my face and my voice are on internal training videos without my consent? "We'll add a credit," he said. "Training provided by Alex Martinez." "Happy?" I stared. "Would you call me into product meetings if you needed charts on user engagement?" "No. You tell me to stick to customer service, then you broadcast me as a trainer? Darren's shoulders twitched. We're short on resources. You're good, better than most. This is an opportunity. An opportunity. I swallowed, staring at the framed code of conduct on his wall. Act with integrity. Respect every voice. I turned my back and left. At my desk, the 3-inch stack of support tickets glared at me like accusing eyes. Emails pinged. Your demo code saved the Northwind issue. Can you optimize the chatbot for legacy browsers? Great work on the tutorial video. I shook my head. The rewards twisted in my gut, praised for training, chastised for innovation. I logged into my personal Slack channel and typed, "Sam, remind me why I took this job." Sam, my weekend co-founder on a side project, replied instantly, "Because you love solving problems. Because you're meant for more than scripts and surveys." I stared at the reply. She was right. I wasn't a script monkey. I was the one who built a working AI within 2 weeks. My phone chimed. A Slack message from HR in onboarding feedback. Great presentation, Alex. Officially our lead learning specialist. I stared at the words. Lead learning specialist. Was this a promotion? A trap? I messaged back. Did product approve this? No reply. That evening I called Sam. Her apartment was a tangle of yarn and half-knit scarves. Me, they just promoted me. Lead learning specialist. Without asking. Sam, congrats? Her voice was cautious. Me, I feel like Schrodinger's cat. Alive and dead. Freed and trapped. Sam, sounds like leadership. She laughed. If you'd sent them your code, they'd call it feature. Send them your face, they call it training. Me, I'm not sure I like either. She tapped her knitting needles. Maybe this is your moment. Use it. Improve the onboarding. Turn those videos into living docs, interactive tutorials. Show them why innovation and training can be the same thing. Monday, I strode into HR's small office, the one with a single motivational poster of a mountain climber, and sat across from Bianca, the new head of learning and development, who guarded her swivel throne like Cerberus. Bianca, I said, about these videos. I cleared my throat. I'd like to expand them, add interactive branches, quizzes, real-time support through the chatbot I built. She blinked. We did announce you as lead learning specialist. She glanced at her notes. We need you to shepherd the training program until we hire a dedicated manager. I leaned forward. I can integrate the chatbot so new hires get instant answers during the videos. We can reduce support calls by 30% and accelerate ramp-up time by half. Her gaze flickered consideration. You have a prototype. I pulled my laptop from my bag and opened it. This is Demo 00. I ran it over last quarter's transcripts. It can handle up to 2,000 intents. I clicked through a slick UI menu choices, live chat windows, embedded video segments. And since I'm the one on camera, I can script dynamic inserts. Hey, Alex here. Click the link to run a sandbox. It's seamless. Bianca tapped her pen. This could work. But you need resources. A small team. Will you lead them? I felt my heart soar. Absolutely. Later that day, I drafted a project plan. Onboard 2.0, AI-enhanced training, complete with Gantt charts, resource lists, cost projections, and ROI estimates. I circulated it to HR, product, and CS leadership. The email thread lit up with approving emojis and calendar invites. That Friday, I sat behind a new desk in the learning and development wing, boxes of plants and family photos around me, a half-dozen engineers, a UX designer, and a product intern reported to me. My inbox overflowed with requests. Feature request for multi-language support. Can the videos pause when a user says help out loud? Schedule me for one-on-one onboarding. Between calls, I opened the original onboarding video. There I was, smiling stiffly, reciting policy like a human teleprompter. I clicked edit. Notes flew onto the timeline. Replace narration with interactive chatbot segment at 2:15. Insert user-generated Q&A clip here. Tag company values flashcard. Minutes later, the old video had 8 new branches, 23% reduced runtime, and a clickable link, Ask Alex. A Slack ping, Brad from CS. Just tried the new vid. My mic broke, and your chatbot guided me through reset in real time. You saved my week. I smirked. Glad to help. Only 2 days ago, I walked past the customer service bullpen and heard them, a small group around Karen's desk, watching a monitor. Dave, IT. Is that Alex on the screen? They're walking us through the CRM setup. Karen, she's our trainer now. No more stick to CS. They looked. The video was slick, conversational, personable, the chatbot popping up with blue text bubbles, me yawning a bit, and stretching before launching into advanced tagging techniques. A ripple of applause followed Dave's comment. I walked on, shoulders relaxed, humming the voice over script. Your onboarding should feel like a conversation. I thought of the day they told me to stay in CS, of how they used my face without asking, of the endless hours I poured into code and camera. They said to stick to customer service. I stuck with it, and it stuck to me, until I turned every question, every smirk, every you can't into a stepping stone. Until customer service and product innovation fused into one seamless future. And now I'm the one steering the ship. Tomorrow we launch Onboard 2.0 company-wide. And the week after, I'll roll out version 2.1 with voice-activated branching. Because they told me to stay in CS, but they didn't know my obsession could rewrite the rules. And maybe, just maybe, that's what I was always meant to do. I didn't sleep that night. The cafe lights had dimmed, the buzz of conversation faded, and yet my mind spun circles around Brad's resurrected phone. By the time I crawled into bed, it was past midnight, and the ceiling fan was turning slow enough to see each blade like a hand pointing to my next move. Build on this. Tomorrow, I promised myself, I'd expand the chatbot into a full deaths recovery suite, an app we could sell to friends and, who knew, maybe even strangers. When the morning light seeped through my curtains, I was already at my desk, laptop open, code editor blinking. I sent Brad a text, ready to take this public. He replied instantly, let's do it. His enthusiasm felt like rocket fuel. Over the next week, we built a landing page. Simple, sleek, animated hero graphics showing a shattered phone that reassembled itself under the tagline, Revive, Restore, Reclaim. We called our new startup Recover It. We created a MailChimp form, set up Stripe payments, and wrote a press release. Local hacker duo launches emergency data, recovery tool for crashes, spills, and drops. On Friday at exactly noon, I hit publish. We shared the link in tech forums, local Slack channels, even slipped it into a few Reddit threads on our Payback and our Payback and our Payback and 3D recovery. By 2 p.m., our email inbox was full. Will it recover a screen-cracked iPhone? My USB drive just died. Can you fix it? What about SD cards? Brad and I sat in stunned silence, the site analytics pulsing like a heartbeat. Hundreds of visits, dozens of downloads. Our prototype, an Electron wrapper around my microkernel recovery tool, had become a public beacon for the desperate and the curious. But with interest came challenges. Saturday morning, my Slack lit up. Automated task error, unhandled promise rejection. The server that hosted our download zip had choked under the load. I scrambled to spin up an AWS EC2 instance, untangle node package dependencies, and re-upload the artifact. 2 hours later, the downloads resumed. Brad, pacing his living room, announced, "This is your world now. When you publish software, you pray the internet doesn't break." By Sunday, we had our first paying customer, $49 for a one-time license. A tiny sum, but in that moment, it felt like a comet shower. We rung the metaphorical cash register, gulping coffee as the real-time notifications chimed. Recover, it was alive. Our first big test came on Tuesday. I was mid-call with Alice, a freelance photographer who dropped her SD card into a rain puddle. She bore the help-me tone of someone who badly needed her portfolio back. After a 30-minute guided recovery session, shing into her Linux machine, attaching the card via a dock, running Dedrescu and my custom block scan, her files reappeared. TEFs, RAWs, JPEGs, even her family vacation selfies. I watched her sift through thumbnails, the shock in her voice turning to tears of relief. "Alex," she gasped, "you saved me. Thank you." I closed the SSH session, leaned back. That's why we built this. I shared the testimonial on our website, adding it to the homepage slider. "Recover It saved my entire wedding portfolio," the quote read. We updated our pricing page, SD card recovery, $49 beneath hard drive rescue, $99, and smartphone resurrection, $149. Word of mouth spread. My mother told her book club friend, the dentist across town, mentioned it to his staff, and by Friday we had a corporate client, a local law firm, whose server had corrupted during a backup job. They needed every document intact. It was our biggest payday yet, $999 for the full license, and our first real contract. We drafted a simple service agreement PDF. Brad digitally added his signature, and I inked mine with a stylus. Our two-person operation was suddenly professional, but success breeds scrutiny. That Thursday, I opened my inbox to a terse email from Nimbus Data Solutions, the nationwide backup giant. Subject: infringement notice, potential patent violation. Dear Mr. Martinez, it has come to our attention that your product Recover It implements methods identical to those described in U.S. Patent 10,234,567. We demand you cease use of these methods or enter into a licensing agreement immediately. Sincerely, Angela Sharp, General Counsel, Nimbus Data Solutions. I stared at the words, patent violation. I thought back to the nights I'd spent reverse engineering block, mapping algorithms, and poring over research papers from file system conferences. Nimbus had a patent on predictive block level restoration, the very concept behind my microkernel solution. I called Brad and we scrambled to gather our code history, commit logs, design docs, evidence that our methods were original and predated that patent's filing. We engaged Simone Lowe, my startup's advisor, to file a declaratory judgment action. Don't let them bully you, she'd said. We'll move to invalidate their patent. We braced for legal battle, but within 3 weeks Nimbus backed down. A clause in our evidence, a 2017 open access paper on similar techniques, proved prior art. They withdrew their demand. Our victory announcement, posted to our blog, earned us kudos in LinkedIn groups and a mention in TechCrunch. David versus Goliath, small startup fends off patent bully. Our Twitter notifications exploded with support. By summer's end, Recover It had grown into a team of 4. Brad oversaw corporate sales, I led engineering, Clara handled customer success, and we'd hired a recent CS grad to field first-line support. We moved out of my garage into a coal-working loft overlooking the river. Brick walls, communal kitchen, and enough plug sockets to power a small data center. Every morning, we congregated around the espresso machine, trading war stories, seared disk rescues, the time we recovered a summer camp's check-in data a week before school started. Laughter echoed off the beams. I even gave workshops at local libraries, DIY data rescue for hobbyists. We taught seniors how to clone their USB drives, gave kids the thrill of watching files reappear. Recover It wasn't just a product, it was a movement, an obsession that empowered others to seize control of their digital lives. But nothing prepares you for the moment. Your obsession collides with real human fragility. One Friday afternoon, I got an urgent call from Clara. Alex, it's urgent. A patient data recovery for Mercy Clinic. The server crashed mid-consultation. Doctors lost access to charts. They emailed us half an hour ago. We need a remote session. I grabbed my laptop and jumped in my car, speeding through rush hour traffic to Mercy Clinic's IT department. When I arrived, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and the nurse at reception gave me a worried look. We're in the middle of patient rounds, she said. Dr. Patel can't access any records. In the server room, the IT manager pointed at the log screens. A RAID 10 array had fallen into degraded mode. 2 disks marked offline. They needed the last 6 hours of consult notes, lab orders, and medication schedules. I verified my credentials, plugged in, and began the recovery dance. Hot swap the failed disks, clone the good ones to a portable array I'd brought, run my metadata, rebuild scripts, then mirror it back onto the controller. As I worked, nurses peeked into the room, some crossing themselves, others praying. Dr. Patel hovered at the doorway, phone pressed to his ear, telling a nurse to administer 5 mg of Versed at 2 pen m to his morning patient. Data I couldn't recreate if I lost it. I need every therapy note from today, he said. This patient went into status epilepticus. I kept my head down, fingers flying. 2 hours later, the server lights flickered green. I unmounted the array, restarted the service. The EMR portal reloaded. Consults, orders, notes, even the nurse's scribbles on vitals. I exhaled. We're back online, I told Dr. Patel. Your data is intact. He grasped my shoulder, voice thick. You have no idea how many lives you just saved. Thank you. In that moment, my obsession, once mocked as nerd vanity, felt like the most human thing in the world. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling fan once more, the same fan from 2 years ago when I was debugging a dead phone. But now my obsession had a name, a home, and a purpose. Recover It was no longer a side gig. It was a lifeline for artists, doctors, businesses, families. Every backup I ran, every file I resurrected, had meaning. The next morning, I drafted an email to the entire team. Team, last night, we restored patient care at Mercy Clinic. Lives depend on our work. Let's remember that every support ticket, every code review, every sprint planning meeting isn't just a task. It's a promise to protect memories, livelihoods, and in some cases, health and life itself. Thank you for your obsession. They replied with thumbs up emojis and thank you notes, proud to be part of this team. We saved the world, one bit at a time. Here's to many more recoveries. I poured myself a coffee and realized something fundamental. They told me to stick to customer service. Day one, product team, HR boss, and I did. I mastered it, but I never stopped inventing, iterating, obsessing, and that obsession became something far bigger than me. It became a service, a community, a purpose. In the early morning light, I backed up my own system one more time, because now I knew the value of every bit, and I smiled. They tried to box me in. They told me to stick to customer support, and I stuck. But in doing so, I built a ship sturdy enough to weather every storm. And my obsession, it was human after all. It was hope, refusal to give up, and the fierce belief that lost data could always be found, and that no glitch, no crash, could ever erase the best parts of us.